What's going on, guys? My name is Tyler, and this is Everyday EDC. Today, we are going to be doing a teardown of the Wee Knives Arsenal. So this is a pretty sweet knife, but it's a little bit different. We got this G10 integral piece, which is basically the only difference. But, you know, for the sake of tearing it down, kind of we'll clean it up if it needs it. Not that I think it does. And just see what makes her tick. So let's get into it. So the things I'm going to need to tear this down is first I'm going to have a lint-free cloth for any cleaning things. I have some isopropyl alcohol, really cheap, 70% isopropyl. And then I have some Q-tips to kind of clean up any hard to clean spaces. I have my WeHa bit driver with T6 all the way up to like T15. And then for backup, I have this, not sure what it is, but it is a canister loaded piece with T6, T8, T9, and T10 already preloaded. For the detent ramp and the detent ball, I will be using some of this heavy gun oil. And then for the actual bearings themselves, I will be using this really, really old KPL, but original KPL. It's not the super light or anything. I do have some more KPL coming in that I would probably use the extra lightweight for the bearings, but because I don't have that yet, you know, it is what it is. Last, I just got this in. This is like a $5 jeweler bit screwdriver set. This is just for any light prying tasks if something's not popping out or like pulling out like a washer or something like that. So let's get to it. So first and foremost, these appear to be the body screws appear to be T10, which is awkward, but that could be my own brain. So here's a T8, which the pivot is barely a T8, and the body screws are T8s. So apparently we're not going to be fast forwarding this because this is unique all around. I have one long and one short screw, and I don't know where they went, so I'm going to hope that the other side is the same and it shows me. I'm not sure where that long versus short one went. So the short one is going up here as opposed to down here. Interesting. All right. So last but not least, I might need a little wrench to get that off. Okay, so yeah, there's a reason why we're not going to fast forward this. This has to come out with a metric number 9. I'm going to guess, and it just broke free real easy, but it is almost like a bolt head or a hex head screw that you have to take out, which I'm assuming, yep, we'll take out the pocket clip just fine, so it'll allow us to access the rest of the knife. The rest of the teardown should be normal, but yeah, I'm not even going to try to fast forward this guy. I'll fast forward putting it back together, but not taking her apart here. So here's another long run, so that confirms the long versus short. Let's make sure these two long ones are the exact same length. Yeah. And they used a little bit of blue Loctite, but not much, so that's cool. Let's see if this slides off. This should, in theory, slide off now. Well, let's just continue on and see how to get that out. So again, probably not the right way to take that apart. Probably really dumb. But it's apart. So now what's next? Oh, okay. So now, this side wants to come free. Wow. So this there's like a sandwich construction going. Ah, there we go. Okay. Which is our back's piece right there. All right. Well, this was interesting. Sorry if I was talking too loud. I had the earplugs in there really tight. So this was an interesting teardown and kind of not hard, but guys, this is a little bit more complicated than some. So I'm kind of glad I ended up tearing this one down. Yep, way more efficient. Okay. let's see here. We have a stop, not a stop pin, but like a barrel spacing pin. This is gonna sit on here. This is the piece that's gonna sit through here. That's gonna actually allow your hex head to go and screw into holding down your pocket clip is what that is right there. So yeah, this is a little bit more interesting of a teardown. Let's get her all cleaned up. We'll go over some of the finer details, but it's not hard. It's different, and as you can see, I kind of muscled my way through some, which you should never do. I should have tried to figure out, but it's kind of weird because you can't get the, actually putting it back together is going to be interesting because you can't put the liners in there without your blade because of that internal stop. It doesn't like want you to move either way. So it's just interesting, guys. It's not a big deal. It's actually super well constructed. It's not just user friendly to tear down. There's a couple scratch marks I made trying to get it apart. Yeah, it's not user friendly, and to be honest, if you're worried about scratching the inside, which functionally won't serve any issue, and as far as aesthetically, you're not going to notice it at all, but if you're worried about it, you might not want to do it, because I almost, short of taking this thing apart 15 more times, I'm not sure that I can get it apart more smoothly than I did, just based on the way it's constructed. We'll see how well it goes back together. But here's the really cool looking blade. This is a badass design. I actually love O-Step Hell designs after this, because I really do love this knife. I wish you can access that opening hole a little bit more, but such is life. You can't always get what you want. But yeah, so we do have a stainless steel insert right there with the detent ball that appears to be ceramic. That's nice. I'm gonna be cleaning off these washers and putting them back in there. So yeah, it's not a super complicated, it's just like a very, and it might have been just the first time taking it apart that it like wanted to stick together more than usual, because I feel like those liners should have broke free before I got that blade out, or I should have been able to pull this off before I got that blade out, I should say. And I was questioning whether or not these pivot collars were G10 or or not Timascus. These are definitely G10 pivot collars, by the way. Really nice, really deep. Okay, let us see. Yeah, put this pin back in there, and I'm gonna put this guy here. Get ready to rebuild her. All right, so next what we're gonna do is I'm gonna take some of this KPL. We're gonna put a little bit on either side. That was a lot. You only need about as much as I put right there. But then I'm gonna put just a tiny little string around there. And then within a couple flips, what that'll do is that'll help move and lubricate each one of those balls in this. All right, so then we're gonna put that back there. Actually, I'm gonna make them ride like that. So we're gonna do that. The way that this pivot came out, this side is supposed to be locked in. This side is supposed to be locked into here, and for some reason, the pivot did not want to come out that way. That's going to cause us problems putting it back together if I can't get this out. So let's see if we can weasel this guy out of here. So after a quick trial with a pair of pliers and stuff, I am not going to do that because I don't want to bend this pivot tube, and I don't see any other way around it. So without heating it up, and I'm not going to do that right now. I can get around it without heating it up, so we're going to do that. This has been a shit show. Freaking dog hair. All right. So we're just going to build it from the opposite side and have to tighten it up and then line up this on the end, which is going to be a pain in the ass, but we can do it. So let's get this blade right here. That'll be in there. And then I'm going to take some oil and I'm going to just do a light bead of oil on the track there. Nothing serious. And you don't want to overdo it, which I probably did, but So, yeah, this guy is not friendly to take apart. I have parts going all over the freaking place. All right. Put this has to go through. Sorry, I'm working on it. First time taking this apart, as you guys can tell. So I'm not trying to be like, I'm really good at this. No, this is clearly a really bad showing. Got that coming back in there. Pivots. That's good. And I'm an idiot and did not put the pivot collar on. Another unique situation here, which I didn't pay attention to. These pivot collars are unique to each side. So this pivot collar is unique to this piece, and this pivot collar is unique to this piece. Okay? That is obvious because it has that. What this has too is it has two little ears that you can see sit in here, and that's how it sits in flush. The only way I found that out is I was putting the other pivot through, and I like couldn't get it to sit flush, and so I'm chopping it out because I had this strained moment. But I ended up having to take out the pivot to kind of see what was going on there, and that's what was happening. So you're used to building it from the opposite side because of X, Y, and Z, and because this wee thing came off here, which it shouldn't have, but because it came off, it actually caused a little bit of confusion in me. Alright, so now that's sitting flush. Now we're gonna go back to it. And yes, the screw is a very strippable. This pivot on here, it's very, very shallow. You can hear it. I've already skipped on it a few times. It kind of terrifies me now. And I'm using the right screw, but all right, so here's the situation. Now let's rebuild the rest of it and take it from there. These body screws, on the other hand, are really deep. Very, very nice body screws. The pivot screw is gorgeous looking. It's just super shallow. This is not a user-friendly piece to come apart here. So I'd love to make this entertaining, but short of my own failures throughout this, I'm not really sure what I can do to make this more entertaining. That being said, I will say, with the pivot locked up nice, where there's no back and forth, the action is perfect. The blade came back to perfectly center, so your tolerances are pretty good. I'm gonna try to give it one more little crank there. All right, definitely no back and forth. No up and down, and just gorgeous action. Still can't reverse flick it, but it feels great. Super smooth, especially now that we've taken it apart and kind of addressed certain things. Next, let us get the last piece on here. See, this is ambidextrous in theory for the pocket clip, so that's cool. The only difference is too, you're gonna need, I said, a number 6, I believe, metric socket to really get in there, and I am not biting in, and it scares me again. Did I not get this in there right? Why is this not wanting to bite? Yeah, there's a lot of little things with this, guys. That's what I need to do. This needs to stay loose, which is unique because putting on the pocket clip will make it to where you can't tighten it. But that needs a little bit of flex, I think, to be able to move back and forth with what you're doing. There we go. Now we're lined up. So with us, that's what I'm gonna do. So with us being lined up here perfect, I'm gonna tighten these screws down. So now that piece cannot shift around. Now I could take this back out and then remount it, and it should line up perfectly. Oh boy. I'll do some learnings at the end of this. We'll recap. I was looking forward to doing like a montage or just slapping it back together, but this is not the slap back together type of construction here. Again, no back and forth. Action is very good. Blade centering is perfect. Okay, so let's clean up. I'll be back in a second. We're gonna talk about this. This was not a good teardown. Okay, guys. So the teardown of the Wii Arsenal went a little bit south. I had some problems. So first and foremost, they did not really Loctite the Wii emblem in to the pivot. So you have a pivot barrel that screws into, and what ends up happening is if this screw comes out with the pivot barrel, your logo's not on there, but you can't twist that in, so you gotta find the perfect locking spot for that. And this pivot collar actually is specific to this side, not only because it locks into place in one spot, which the other one did too, so that okay. So the pivot collar matches this piece, which makes sense. It's got that notch. But the pivot collar also matches a certain side. So not only does it match the piece, it matches a side. There's two ears on the opposite side that actually sink in and lock it into place on this side. So it's a pretty unique situation. I wouldn't have really ran into it if the pivot barrel itself did not lose that Wii emblem, so I don't really discredit the knife for that. So the next thing that we did is I took out the pivot, took out the body screws, and then you have to use a number 6 metric socket to take the pocket clip off, which is kind of cool because you're not really going to damage anything. Go slow, you shouldn't scratch it up. As you can see, I really didn't scratch anything up in the process. And then you can just flip the pocket clip without even taking this all the way out if you wanted to, right? So that's nice. But you have to take this out to access the 2 screws down here. These screws are a little bit longer than these, so don't mix those 2 up. So after taking out those 2 screws, what I found is that the back, you pop off this way and then you pull out. So it kind of, it's sitting on there, and then you pop that off like that and then pull back. And that allowed me to get that out, but that wasn't the most obvious. You don't really want to force anything when you're first doing it. Inside, you just have some stainless steel washers with some bearings riding on them. And then, again, this probably is a glass breaker. I don't know. We're going to find out eventually. But now the action, I wouldn't say is, drastically night and day better, but it definitely feels a little bit cleaner. You still, reverse flicking's not the easiest. As you can see, I really have to position and prep. All right, prepping. Okay. Once you get it a couple times, you can get it frequently, and I think that's because what happens is you build an indent in your finger to slide into that hole perfectly. All in all, it's kind of like a sandwich construction plus, right? So you got this G10 Integra, which is cool. What holds this piece in is actually a loose fitting piece of, I don't know if it's steel or titanium, I didn't check, but it has to be lined up perfectly. Uniquely enough, to line it up perfectly, I put this back in without the pocket clip, and as soon as I got this tightened down almost all the way, I tightened these screws down to lock it into place, and then you could back it out and put it on there. If you try to do it any other way, it's going to go in sideways. You run the risk of stripping it, and you want to be very, very careful with pretty unique set of hardware, right? Or wait for Wii to send you a bunch if they even will. All in all, this is a super solid construction. It is definitely no freaking penguin to tear down, right? The penguin teardown's literally just, I could have had that done in a quarter of the time. This is a little bit more unique. I don't see any problems with it though. It was pretty cool and it was fun. That is all I got for you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This was the teardown of the Wii Knives Arsenal. I'll try to chop it up, make it a little interesting, but my name is Tyler. This is Everyday EDC. You guys stay sharp, stay safe, and have a great freaking rest of your day. Thanks for watching, guys.